Hello, I'm Lisa Walkish, the National Managing Principal of Industry at Grant Thornton. We are experiencing a business environment that's filled with economic uncertainty. And we've been watching industries being impacted in very different ways. The technology industry has perhaps fared better than most. One of the driving factors is society's reliance on tech products and services as we navigate through COVID. I'm joined today by Grant Thornton's Chief Economist, Diane Swonk, and our National Technology and Telecommunications Leader, Steve Perkins, to discuss this further.
So Diane, let's start with you. What's the state of our economy?
The economy is sadly slowing again after a big resurgence and rebounding growth that we saw over the summer. The good news is the slowdown isn't as dramatic as we saw last spring. The bad news is in part that slowdown isn't as dramatic because we're starting from a lower threshold. Employment in November slowed to a crawl, and we're still almost 10 million jobs in the hole, or 56. We've only regained 56% of those we lost to the crisis last fall. I think that's really last spring. That's really important to understand as we move into December and the worst months, January and February, of what is likely to be the worst months of the COVID surge. And that's because we're likely to see a pullback in consumer spending as we get into January and February. That's a first quarter minimal zero growth, may even see a contraction in growth with a loss in jobs as we deal with the surge in COVID. On the bright side of it, of course, is the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's prospects for a very successful vaccine. The problem, of course, is complex logistics and distribution and production. And we need to get the largest vaccination effort underway that we've ever seen in the history of the world in order to get the global economy up and running again. We hope to see the vaccine widely available in the U.S. starting in late April and into May. We don't expect to see the whole population or enough of the population immunized until we get well into the summer or almost a year from now to be able to reopen the economy more fully. What we're concerned about is after that initial snapback in economic activity, which will unleash a lot of pent-up demand, depending on how much we restore the financial balance sheets of households hit hardest by the crisis, that could limit not only the snapback in economic activity, but also the trajectory of growth going forward.
So Steve, let's turn to you now. What are you seeing in the technology industry?
Almost a year into the pandemic response, the industry is actually fairly strong, though the strength of that performance varies pretty widely. Technology industry, as you know, is not kind of one monolithic group, but it really spans kind of everything from a business segment perspective, from chips through software, hardware, networking to IT services, and covers a lot of customer segments, from retail to healthcare to government to financial services and others. And depending on where you are in that IT stack, which customer segment you address, your responses have been stronger or more muted. There certainly was some initial uncertainty around market demand. What would the economy look like? How would it recover? That affected technology companies' behavior earlier on, conserving cash, engaging with their customers to figure out how the customers are going to respond. For the startups, really, worrying about, whether they're going to be around to get to Q2. But that really has changed, and we've seen companies now begin to thrive and grow. Maybe no greater testament to the recovery that we're beginning to see in technology is Airbnb's announcement of their intent to sell on the market, so list as an IPO. In my view, the overall strength of the market is really due to two factors. One we talked about, which is customer demand. In most sectors, that has grown, mirroring the recovery of their customers and their market position. We're looking through the glass darkly as we look out into remainder of Q4 and into 2021. But at least in the early results for technology companies are pretty strong. All their customers are looking for virtualization, They're looking for collaboration tools. They're looking for greater connectivity and scale, and they're looking for security of those products. And that's reflected in the performance of technology companies. And the second factor really is the tech business models themselves. Probably no other industry, more able or more ready to flex to a challenging business environment. I mean, it's almost an oxymoron, but the watchword for technology companies is constant change. So they've built business models to allow them to respond to changes in customer demand, architectures, and that really has helped them restructure.
So, Steve and Diane, thank you so much for the discussion today on the economic impact COVID has had on the tech industry. So I really appreciate your thoughts and insights. So thank you.